Hello, Namaskar. This is Firstpost and you're watching Vantage with me, Palki Sharma. We begin with the Khalistanis. They have issued a new threat, this time against the Indian ambassador to the United States. The threat was made on American soil, yet Washington has taken no action against the perpetrator, Gurpatwant Singh Pannun. This time he has targeted Russia too. So where is this heading and what is Moscow's response? We'll tell you. In Myanmar, China is set to send a private army, much like Russia's Wagner Group. What kind of security implications will it have for New Delhi? Sri Lanka's new president is in India. We'll discuss why this is a significant trip. How much money has the Assad family looted from Syria? Reports talk about plane loads of cash and tons of gold. Why is the world in a hurry to legitimize the group that has taken power in Damascus? How did a Russian tanker sink in the Black Sea? Will Elon Musk challenge Gmail by launching xmail? Why is there panic in the US over drone sightings? Donald Trump says they should be shot down. Who will regulate AI bots that tell children to kill their parents for limiting screen time? And what should you drink on a holiday? It's an important question after alcohol poisoning in Laos and Fiji featuring tourists. All this and more coming up. The headlines first. Israel drops a massive bomb on Syria. Its impact was reportedly registered on the Richter scale. The explosion was measured as a 3.1 magnitude earthquake on the seismic sensor. The Israeli airstrikes on Sunday took place near Syria's coastal region. Damascus says it was the most intense bombardment in the area since 2012. Taiwan receives the first batch of US-made Abrams tanks. The tanks are among the heaviest in the world and a mainstay of the US Army. Taipei is looking to boost its capabilities as China increases its military pressure on the self-ruled island. The US is Taiwan's most important ally and biggest arms supplier. Bangladesh plans to hold elections in late 2025 or early 2026. The announcement was made by the country's interim leader Mohammad Yunus, but Yunus says electoral reforms must be carried out first. Since August, Bangladesh has been ruled by an interim government after then Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina fled to India amid mass protests. The European Union takes Britain to the European Court of Justice, accusing London of violating rules on the free movement of the bloc's citizens after Brexit. The case was initiated in 2020, just months after the UK left the EU. This legislation comes as the Starmer government looks to reset ties with Brussels. And thousands feared dead after cyclone Chido hits Mayotte. It's a French overseas territory in the Indian Ocean. Entire neighborhoods have been destroyed. Airports and hospitals have been badly damaged. This is the worst storm to have hit the region in nearly a century.
And logistics with Modi regime. This Vinay Kwatra, the face of Russia-India terror nexus.
Eat, sleep, wake up and threaten India. That's a day in the life of Gurpatwant Singh Pannun, failed lawyer, failing separatist and Khalistani mascot. As you know, Pannu leads Sikhs for Justice. It's a Khalistani separatist group based in New York. They specialize in open threats. In the past, Pannu has threatened to blow up Indian planes. He has threatened Indian temples and now he's threatening India's ambassador to Washington, D.C. His name is Vinay Kwatra. He took charge as India's envoy in the month of August. Before that, he was foreign secretary. Now, Pannu says Ambassador Kwatra is on his radar, that he is the face of a terror nexus. And who else is part of it? Apparently Russia. Pannu says that Moscow is feeding Khalistani intelligence to India and that Ambassador Kwatra is coordinating this operation in DC. Listen in.
Indian Ambassador in Washington, D.C., Vinay Kwatra, has been assigned the responsibility to coordinate with Russian diplomats and consulates in North America. And Russian agencies have started sharing intelligence and logistics with the Modi regime about pro-Khalistan Sikhs activism in North America and European Union. This Vinay Kwatra, the face of Russia-India terror nexus, is already on the radar and target of pro-Khalistan Sikhs.
First of all, the 20th century called, they want their graphics back. But jokes aside, this is a serious threat. Pannu says India's ambassador is on his radar. He's got Vinay Kwatra's picture inside a gun scope. Yet what has the United States done? Absolutely nothing so far. As for Russia, we haven't heard from the Kremlin yet, but Russian state media has responded. They're trolling Pannu and Sikhs for justice. Look at this. It's not just threatening videos. Khalistanis are also targeting Russian diplomatic missions. Last week, they protested near Russian consulates, both in New York and in Toronto. Some of them chanted anti-India slogans there. Now, this episode raises two questions. One, how will Russia respond to this Khalistani challenge? And two, why is Pannu targeting Moscow? Well, only the Kremlin can answer the first question as to how they will respond. There is online chatter about Moscow banning Sikhs for justice, but nothing official yet. As for the second question, why are they targeting Moscow? It could be tactical. The US is already unhappy about India's partnership with Russia. What better way to drive a deeper wedge? To bring more attention to the Khalistan movement. It may be a fringe topic right now, but if you add Russia to the mix, you can widen the scope. You can reel in American politicians. After all, they love a good Russia hoax. But frankly, we don't see the issue here. Russia has been a long-standing partner of India. We would expect them to share information about anti-India separatists. That is what partners do. Partners accept the United States of America. Washington has been ignoring the Khalistani threat. I'll give you an example. Pannu faces a number of cases here in India. One of them is linked to hoisting a Khalistani flag on a government building in Punjab. Apparently, Pannu ordered this. So Indian authorities began investigating him. They sought some details from the United States, like Pannu's bank account information and address and so on. Guess what the Americans said? They said no. And this is just one example. Gurpatwant Singh Pannun has called for attacks on Indian diplomatic missions. He has threatened to blow up Indian planes. He has threatened Indian diplomats in Canada. And now he's threatening India's ambassador in the United States. Pannu is doing all of this from New York, from American soil. Yet the US government does nothing about it. Russian state media says Pannu is a CIA asset, that he's working for Washington. Of course, we cannot verify this claim, but Washington's attitude does raise questions. Because Pannu's videos may look funny. He may dress like a Khalistani John Wick, but his words are threatening, hateful, and inciting. So the ball is now in America's court. Will they wait for these threats to materialize, or will they help a partner country? Joe Biden has disappointed so far. Let's see if Donald Trump is any better. Our next story is from Myanmar. It saw a coup in 2021 and has been gripped by civil war since last year. It's the military junta versus armed rebel groups. The situation is going from bad to worse, and now China is about to step in. And when I say China is stepping in, I mean Chinese troops. Beijing is preparing to send soldiers into Myanmar. It has been watching the developments for months, and now it wants to put boots on the ground. The rebels have made steady gains in Myanmar. The junta's grip on power is slipping. They've lost vast swathes of territory since last year. More than half of Myanmar is now in the hands of rebels. And just a few weeks ago, the junta suffered another setback. They lost control of the Myanmar-Bangladesh border. It's a huge setback for the generals. So China is now stepping in to support them. And here it is borrowing Russia's playbook. China is launching its own private military force, something like Russia's Wagner Group, a group of mercenaries, a private army for hire. And this is the group that will protect Chinese interests in Myanmar. Beijing, in fact, already has private security companies there. Reports say at least 4 of them are operating in Myanmar as we speak. But this new force that they're creating is going to be different. And here's how it will work. China and Myanmar will set up a security company. Chinese mercenaries will join this company. These are fighters who will come from the Chinese police and army. They call themselves the PLA, the People's Liberation Army. So Chinese cops and Chinese soldiers will join this new group. Reports say they will be selected and recruited in a quote-unquote private capacity. And once they join this company, they will be deployed to Myanmar. They will work alongside Myanmar's military personnel. On paper, this may look like a collaboration, both Myanmar and China working together to build a security force and to protect Chinese projects. But make no mistake about this, Myanmar is not an equal partner in this deal. Look at how they're positioned. Myanmar's junta has already lost 50% of the country. They are on the back foot. Would Chinese mercenaries really take orders from Myanmar's generals? Their failure is the reason why these soldiers are being deployed there in the first place. The junta seized power in February 2021. They toppled the democratic government led by Aung San Suu Kyi. Since then, Beijing has supported the generals. It has supported them with weapons. It has raised investment commitments in Myanmar. It has extended diplomatic cover at global institutions like the United Nations. But in recent months, Beijing has been unhappy. The rebel offensive has put Chinese interests in danger. Chinese projects and personnel have come under attack. And the military, despite Chinese support, has failed to protect them. Even China's diplomatic presence has been targeted. In October this year, a Chinese consulate in Myanmar was struck, and this led to a sharp response from Beijing.
China is deeply shocked and severely condemns the attack. China has made serious representations to the Myanmar side, urging it to conduct a thorough investigation into the attack and make every effort to arrest and severely punish the perpetrators in accordance with the law.
Since October, the situation in Myanmar has barely improved. The generals are struggling, failing to mount an effective counterattack and taming the rebels, which is why China wants to take matters in its own hands. And this won't be a first. China has something called PMCs, private military corporations. PMCs, they have at least 20 such PMCs. These companies, these corporations are active in 40 countries, mostly in Africa. And what do they do there? They protect China's Belt and Road investments. So Myanmar won't be the first country to host Chinese mercenaries. And where in Myanmar will these forces be deployed? Well, they could be tasked to protect oil and gas pipelines. Beijing is building one in Myanmar. It links the Rakhine state to China's Yunnan province. And this project is critical for China's energy security. It is part of the Myanmar-China economic corridor. This corridor includes some other projects too, like railway lines and a shipping port. So China is sending soldiers to secure all of this. But this deployment should raise concerns across the region, especially here in India. India too has significant investments in the Rakhine state of Myanmar, like the Sitwe port on the Khalistan River. Only in April this year, India took full control of the Sitwe port. The project holds a lot of potential. It could connect India with its 2 key neighbors, Myanmar and Bangladesh, via land and sea routes. But the full potential of this project still remains untapped. The port is operational, but the land routes are not ready yet. The civil war has made expansion difficult, and there could be more delays in the weeks and months ahead. The security situation in Rakhine is worsening. The rebels have captured most of the state. They control 10 out of 17 townships in Rakhine. And the presence of Chinese mercenaries could exacerbate tensions. It could provoke the rebels further. The story is still developing, but it has profound implications for India and the region. New Delhi must keep a close watch. India is hosting a very important leader this week, Sri Lanka's newly elected president, Anura Kumara Dissanayake, or as his people call him, AKD. He is a firebrand Marxist leader. He was also very critical of India in the past during the Sri Lankan Civil War, which ended in 2009. Now, the same man has become president. So naturally, there were questions. Would AKD work with New Delhi? Or would he be a Sri Lankan Mohammad Muizu? Thankfully, the indications are that he won't be like Muizu. Let me explain why. Starting with this visit. He picked India for his first foreign trip. Not China, not Southeast Asia, but India. Now, normally this wouldn't be news. South Asian leaders are expected to visit India first. That has been the tradition. But nowadays, it's also changing. From the Maldives, President Muizu visited Turkey first. From Nepal, Prime Minister Oli visited China first. And from Bangladesh, Mohammad Yunus went to the US. So AKD picking India is a statement, a vote of confidence for New Delhi. He got a ceremonial welcome at India's presidential palace today, the Rashtrapati Bhavan. Take a look at this. Red carpet done, it was time for business. AKD had multiple meetings in New Delhi with Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar, with Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman and with National Security Advisor Ajit Doval. Earlier today, he also met Prime Minister Narendra Modi. A number of issues were on the agenda, like Sri Lanka's debt restructuring, maritime and defence cooperation, Tamil rights in Sri Lanka, illegal fishing and bilateral exchanges. Prime Minister Modi reiterated India's neighbourhood first policy. In response, AKD made him a promise. He said Sri Lankan soil would never be used against India's interests. Listen in.
आज की इस यात्रा से हमारे संबंधों में नई गति और ऊर्जा का सृजन हो रहा है। निर्णय लिया है कि फिजिकल, डिजिटल और एनर्जी कनेक्टिविटी हमारी भागीदारी के अहम स्तंभ होंगे। मैंने राष्ट्रपति दिशानायक को आश्वासन दिया है कि श्रीलंका के विकास के लिए अनेक प्रयासों में, उनके प्रयासों में भारत एक भरोसेमंद और विश्वसनीय पार्टनर बना रहेगा।
And I have always also given an assurance to the Prime Minister of India that we will not allow our land to be used in any way in a manner that is detrimental to the interest of India.
Now that promise is very important because China has been increasing its influence in Sri Lanka, even sending spy ships to Lankan ports. India has opposed such deployments, but Colombo has been powerless to stop them. Let's see if AKD is any different, if he can stop these so-called research/spy missions. Now, beyond security, some major announcements were also made. India will train 1,500 Sri Lankan civil servants under over 5 years. The hope is to expand such programs, perhaps even to defense and legal domains. Modi and AKD also agreed to move Sri Lanka away from debt-driven development. Instead, the focus will be on investments. Both leaders also agreed to restart a ferry service from Rameshwaram. One ferry is already up and running. Another one has just been announced. They also focused heavily on energy ties. Just think back to Sri Lanka's crisis in 2022. The energy sector was among the worst affected. People had no power for hours on end. Now, India is stepping in to help. It has announced 3 major moves. First, India will supply liquefied natural gas or LNG to Sri Lankan power plants. Second, it is looking to connect power grids, basically share electricity. And third, lay a multi-product petroleum pipeline from India to Sri Lanka. You can use this to transport any type of fuel, kerosene, diesel, jet fuel, anything. On trade, India and Sri Lanka agreed to settle more transactions in local currencies. That's the Indian and Lankan rupees. AKD also requested Modi's help to join the BRICS, though it's not clear how the Indian side reacted to this. And finally, on defense, they agreed to conclude a defense cooperation pact. All in all, a lot of developments, and frankly, it looked unlikely a year ago. You see, AKD leads a political party called JVP. That's the Janata Vimukti Peramuna. It has a violent and anti-India past. The JVP organized two insurrections in the last century, one in 1971 and the second in 1987, and both led to thousands of deaths. They saw India as an imperialist power in Sri Lanka. When New Delhi deployed peacekeepers, the JVP protested. So the history is quite problematic. Yet, AKD seems to be at home in New Delhi and India seems thrilled to host him. So what's going on here? Well, for AKD, the logic is simple. India is Sri Lanka's biggest and most important neighbor. He needs New Delhi's help to stabilize his economy. That's where he's coming from. Same with India. India hosted AKD in February this year. He held meetings with Jaishankar and Ajit Doval. Remember, this was before the elections in Colombo. They also gave him a sneak peek into the Aadhaar system. It shows a great degree of flexibility from India, something that we did not see in Bangladesh or in the Maldives. New Delhi saw that AKD's stock was rising. They knew that he had an anti-India past, yet they reached out to him. And so far, the gamble has worked. AKD has done the right thing by visiting India first. He's also promised to protect Indian interests. Let's see if he stands by his words. Our next story is from Syria. It's been about a week since Syria was set free, since Bashar al-Assad was ousted. For most Syrians, it has been a week of celebration. After decades, they're free to express themselves and do things that they could never do before, like making fun of the Assad family. You see, Bashar al-Assad's reign was brutal. He exercised a form of thought control. People weren't allowed to criticize him. They would be persecuted. But since Assad's fall, the people of Syria have begun to laugh at him, especially after they discovered some family photos. A lot of them are quite candid, showing Assad with his family and friends. He's seen in bathing suits or riding a scooter in his underwear. There's also one of his father, Hafiz al-Assad, the first dictator. Assad Sr. is also seen in his small clothes, posing as a bodybuilder. Now, photos like these may not seem unusual for an ordinary family. But this is the Assads that we're talking about, the most feared family in Syria. They had crafted a sophisticated public persona. And that image is at odds with the family pictures that have come out, the ones that you see on your screen. They're helping Syrians realize something, that their dictator was also human, as mortal as the rest of them. And these people are breaking into his presidential properties and discovering how the Assad family looted them. Take their holiday home, for instance, in the coastal city of Latakia. This is how people reacted when they went in.
I can't believe my eyes. They built something we didn't see in all my life, our life in Syria. You know, did you see the streets in Syria? All are bad.
I've come to release the oppression I feel inside. God revealed to us where they were and where we stood. We had only heard about it, but we didn't know about all this opulence and wealth, while we didn't even have electricity at home.
That sums up the situation. Assad living in luxury, ordinary Syrians living without electricity. Over the decades, the Assad family made a fortune. A big chunk of it came from their drug trade. Now, more and more drug labs are being found. They're located inside legitimate-looking businesses. They were operated by Assad's extended family.
We were shocked. We didn't expect that. The facade is a car showroom, and when we got inside, we found a Captagon lab, hashish, counterfeit money. As you see, there are documents everywhere and a lot of money.
It's like a criminal syndicate was running the entire country. They had their fingers in everything, both legal and illegal. Assad's cousins controlled mobile phone networks. They owned real estate companies, multinational ones. One of Assad's cousins opened a real estate firm in Russia, and the family bought at least 20 luxury apartments in Moscow. It's hard to verify the full extent of the Assad family's wealth, but reports say it could be as high as $120 billion. $120 billion. This includes 200 tons of gold, billions of euros, high-end luxury cars, and of course, his opulent palaces. He had all of this, while most Syrians lived without basic amenities. When his defeat was near, Assad packed up and left, taking much of that ill-gotten wealth with him. Of course, he denies it. Bashar al-Assad issued a statement today, his first since he fled Syria. Assad said that his departure was not planned, that it happened suddenly. He was at the Russian military base in Latakia. They were getting overwhelmed by the rebel forces, so Russia asked him to flee. He says it wasn't a planned escape. In fact, let me quote from the statement. This is Bashar al-Assad saying, "I have never sought positions for personal gain, but have always considered myself as a custodian of a national project, supported by the faith of the Syrian people who believed in its vision." No personal gain, he says. What about the 20 apartments in Moscow? What about his palaces and holiday homes and the 200 tons of gold? Was that just a happy byproduct of the national project? In fact, Syria's wealth was siphoned off, and that is the fact. The wealth was siphoned off, and it ended up in Assad's pockets, or with his allies like Russia. Moscow played a key role in propping up the regime. Russia sent fighter jets to support Assad. They kept the Syrian rebels at bay for years. But that wasn't all. Russia also helped Assad in avoiding Western sanctions. Remember, Syria was frozen out of global trade, so Assad used Moscow to bypass the sanctions as long as he could. Reports say he airlifted $250 million to Russia. $250 million. This was between 2018 and 2019. Assad sent piles of cash, $100 bills and €500 notes. This was to bypass Western banking networks. The cash was to pay for defense support and essentials like wheat. Well, that's the official story anyway. But the people in charge of these transfers were also close to Assad, members of his family or inner circle, so they may have used the cash transfers as a cover, a way to transfer wealth out of Syria, another way to loot the country. Syria is free today, but it will take years to rebuild it, years and billions of dollars, and recovering the billions that Assad looted will be a good place to start. Assad is Syria's past. The future could be dominated by the HTS, Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, terrorists until November this year, now the rulers of Syria. HTS led the lightning offensive that ousted Bashar al-Assad. They have appointed an interim leader now. Clearly, they see themselves as rulers in waiting. And guess what? The world doesn't seem to have a problem with that. Let me show you some pictures from Sunday. That's a United Nations official with the leader of HTS, Abu Muhammad al-Julani, the HTS leader. Now, these two men were discussing Syria's future. To give you some context, HTS was linked to the Al-Qaeda and ISIS. It was part of the United Nations terrorist list. It was also part of the American, British, and European terror lists. So what does that make the man who leads this group? I assume a terrorist. But the world doesn't seem to think so. They're busy mainstreaming the HTS leadership. The UN has called for Syria's sanctions to be lifted. They're also looking at delisting HTS.
We will hopefully see a quick end to sanctions so that we can see really rallying around building up Syria again. And then, my last point, we need to see, of course, justice and accountability for crimes. And we need to make sure that that goes through a credible justice system and that we don't see any revenge.
It's not just the United Nations. The US has already made direct contact with the rebels, and Europe is planning the same.
So, first, yes, we've been in contact with HTS and with other parties. We have impressed upon everyone we've been in contact with the importance of helping find Austin Tice and bringing him home.
HTS remains a proscribed organisation, but we can have diplomatic contact, and so we do have diplomatic contact, as you would expect.
I've also tasked European top diplomat in Syria to go to Damascus to make the contacts with the new government and people there.
How about that? HTS still remains on the terror list, yet these countries are all talking to them. Even Russia and Iran have reached out to the rebel leadership. We're talking about staunch allies of Assad. They fought the HTS on his behalf, but now they're busy talking to them. So I guess the question is obvious. What changed between November 2024 and December 2024? What is the difference? How did a terror group become mainstream? Well, the answer is simple. They captured power in Damascus. You see, all major players have stakes in Syria. The US has soldiers, Russia has ports and warships, Iran has proxies, and Europe is hosting millions of Syrian refugees. All these countries have something to achieve or get from Syria. Hence their outreach to HTS. Very different from what happened in Afghanistan. Just think back to late 2021. That's when the Taliban captured Kabul. Back then, nobody reached out to them, and rightly so. The Taliban was a radical Islamist group. They wanted to crack down on women's rights. They had no interest in democracy, so the West said, we will not talk to you. We will withhold contacts to put pressure on the new regime in Kabul. That's what the world did. So what's different in Syria? Thousands of Shia minorities are fleeing the country. They fear a crackdown from HTS. Also, let me show you a recent picture of Syria's interim prime minister. See those flags behind him? One is the flag of the Free Syrian State. The other has an Islamic prayer, the same flag that is used by the Taliban in Afghanistan. So let me ask once again, what is different in Syria? Well, in Syria, the ousted regime was anti-West. But in Afghanistan, the ousted regime was pro-West. That's a big difference. Plus, Syria has implications for West Asia and Israel. But Afghanistan is located in boring old South Asia. Perhaps that explains the difference. And don't get us wrong here. We are not saying recognize the Taliban. We are saying there has to be a playbook. There has to be a rule book, a strategy to deal with such rogue and violent rulers. Because terrorists are not defined by their position, they're defined by their actions. If their actions change, we can understand. Let's say the HTS reaches out to other rebel factions. They agree to share power. They draft a constitution for Syria. They hold free and fair elections. Or let's say the Taliban opens up schools to women. They too agree to hold free and fair elections. Then we can understand having this conversation. But the HTS has not done that yet. The United Nations created a roadmap for Syria in 2015. Like I said, outreach, constitution, and elections. That was the plan. But the HTS says that plan has to be reassessed. We're not sure what that means. Maybe they're still open to elections, or maybe they're going the Taliban route. The fact is, we have no clue about their intentions. All we have are tall promises. Much like the Taliban 2.0 chatter in 2021. So my point is quite simple. Focus on actions, not power. Use the leverage of contact to push the needle in the right direction. If not, this new chapter for Syria could be a flashback. It started off as a normal day for two Russian oil tankers. They were sailing from the Black Sea through the Kerch Strait to the Sea of Azov, transporting more than 4,000 tons of oil. But soon, disaster struck. One tanker split into half, drowning in the waters. Another went adrift, but managed to control itself. One crew member was killed, a few remain missing, and Moscow has set up an emergency team now. The images are quite dramatic. The Black Sea has seen a rise in conflict since the war in Ukraine began. So was this too an act of war, or was something else at play? Our next report tells you.
It was a stormy Sunday morning in the Black Sea, and in its treacherous waters, a maritime nightmare unfolded. The incident involved two Russian oil tankers. Battered by relentless waves, the sea turned into a death trap. The first to meet its fate was the Volgoneft 212. Hit by a monstrous wave, the tanker snapped in half, crushed by nature's force. 15 crew members were on board. 12 were rescued, 1 lost their life, and 2 remain missing in the chaos. But the disaster was far from over. Just minutes later, the Volgoneft 239 found itself in peril in the same area, facing the same ruthless conditions. The ship lurched towards certain destruction. On board were 14 crew members, their fates uncertain. Rescue operations were halted due to the raging weather. These incidents took place in the Kerch Strait, a narrow but crucial passageway separating Russia from Crimea. The strait connects the Sea of Azov to the Black Sea, one of the most important shipping routes in the region. Both ships were transporting a heavy load of fuel. The Volgoneft 212 alone carried 4,300 metric tons of mazout, which is a thick, low-grade oil. When the tanker split and sank, videos captured a black oil slick spreading through the waves. Russian officials have since confirmed an oil spill, but the full scale of the damage remains unknown. Environmental experts are racing against time to assess the impact. The ships belong to Volga Tanker, a small Russian shipping company. Russian President Vladimir Putin has ordered the formation of a working group. It will be headed by the Deputy Prime Minister. The team has 2 immediate priorities: rescue operations and environmental damage control. So what led to these incidents? Well, bad weather was part of it, but a major reason was the age of the tankers. The Volgoneft 212 was 55 years old. It was recently refitted with the center cut out. It is in this section that the ship broke into 2. The Volgoneft 239 was also built in 1973. So these were very old ships, and Ukraine has blamed Russia for the accident. They said Moscow violated operating rules leading to this oil spill. But this isn't the first such incident in the region. In 2007, another tanker from the same company, the Volgoneft 139, split in half during a storm that led to nearly 1,000 tons of oil spill. But since the war, Russia has been using what's called ghost tankers. These are old oil tankers, not too well maintained and lacking insurance. Moscow uses them to transport oil and avoid sanctions. Which brings us to the Black Sea itself. It has become a zone of military conflict since the Ukraine war, and that has led to the rise in deaths among marine life. This incident will just exacerbate the situation. With the Black Sea's waters still raging, the clock is ticking. Can this maritime disaster be contained? Or will it leave a permanent scar on the region and its waters? We find out soon.
Emails. We love them, we hate them, and sometimes we wish that that never-ending meeting had just been an email. But if there's one thing we can't do, it is escape them. Emails are the digital thread that holds our lives together. From that crucial work update to your online shopping receipt to the newsletter you swear you did not subscribe to, emails are everywhere and they're here to stay. We all know the giants of the email world: Gmail, Outlook, Yahoo, the big names that shape how we communicate. But now Elon Musk wants to shake things up. Enter xmail, his next big idea. The name? Well, that was not Musk's doing. It all started with a post on X. Someone casually suggested xmail would be cool, and Musk, being Musk, said yes. It's apparently on his list of things to do. Although this isn't the first time he's talked about it. In February, another post mentioned xmail. The user asked, "When are we making xmail?" And Musk was quick to reply. He said, "It's coming." So clearly, xmail has been on his mind for some time. Chances are it is in the works already. But can Elon Musk truly challenge the giants? Let's dive into the world of emails. Back in 1996, having an email address was a luxury. Fast forward to today, if you don't have one, you might as well be invisible. An average person has nearly 2 email accounts. More than 300 billion emails are sent and received every day. 300 billion every day. If you want a quick response, apparently Tuesday is the best day to send an email. The average person receives about 121 emails every day. They spend 15.5 hours every week checking their emails. Hotmail led this digital revolution first. In the late 1990s, it was the king of email, but then it lost the crown. The reason was spam, lots of it. Hotmail could not keep spam under control, so users started looking for a better solution. Enter Google. Gmail came with smarter tools and a cleaner interface. It completely changed the game. Now we're in 2024, and it is undisputedly the top email provider. Gmail boasts 2.5 billion active users. That's nearly a third of the world's population. Next in line is Outlook, Microsoft's Outlook. It's a corporate powerhouse. It has 400 million users worldwide. What gives Outlook an edge is its seamless integration. It is paired with Microsoft Office, which is a favorite for businesses. Then there are the other contenders, Yahoo Mail and Apple's iCloud Mail. Their user bases are smaller, yet they remain significant players. And here's something most of us don't even think about. How do they make money? I ask because for us users, email feels like it's free. No charges when you send one, no bill when you receive one. So what's in it for the service provider? Are they doing it for free? Of course they aren't. There are no free lunches and no free services. Email services are not run out of kindness. They don't charge you because they use you. The consumer, as they say, is the product. Every email is a potential gold mine, not for its content, but for its metadata. This is information like where you're from, what you're interested in, who you communicate with. Gmail makes money through this data and targeted ads. They sell your data to companies who then send targeted ads to you. According to one estimate, Gmail makes $2.48 billion every year just from ads. Then there's premium subscription. When you pay more, you get better services like more storage space. So a lot of people sign up for it. And this is how this business has been running. Elon Musk wants to disrupt it. He wants to change the established order. But it's not going to be so easy. One, because this is a saturated market. Google's dominance and Outlook's enterprise leave very little room for new players. Second is user trust. You see, Elon Musk is a polarizing figure, and his politics impacts his business in good ways and bad. It will have a bearing on this one too. And the third challenge is security concerns. Xmail has not even launched, but it has already triggered phishing scams. Cyber criminals are already using the hype to lure victims. Having said that, Elon Musk has cracked tough markets in the past. He's the man who made electric cars cool. If he can pull off Xmail, it could be a game changer. But remember, it is not here yet. So if you see an email promising early access to Xmail, don't click on it. It's not Elon Musk sliding into your inbox. It's probably hackers. Now let's turn to the US. The nation is in a panic. There have been numerous drone sightings in the skies over the US East Coast, especially in the state of New Jersey. The sightings began about a month ago, and they've been getting more and more frequent. The American public wants answers. Politicians are ramping up the pressure. They're also spreading conspiracy theories, linking the drones to Iran or China. And now, Donald Trump has also weighed in. Trump says the government is hiding something. It should tell people the truth, or at least allow them to shoot down the drones. Here's our report.
It began on the 18th of November. That's when drones were first sighted over the skies of New Jersey. The drones have been seen every night since.
I've seen clusters. Last night I saw clusters of about 8 up over here. But normally I see them a little spread out, and they're sporadic. Some of them illuminate a bright light. Some of them, when you see them on the side profile flying, you can see the red-green lights.
So I'm looking up in the sky, and this is like nothing I've ever seen before. And the size is what really spooked me. Like, this is the enormity of this object, it was the enormity of this object combined with the fact that it was, looking at my watch, 12:43 in the morning, made me think this is something that is bizarre.
The drones are apparently huge. They light up the night sky, fly over residential neighborhoods or sensitive areas like airports. Some drones even flew over a US military base. This sent alarm bells ringing. Conspiracy theories started doing the rounds. There were talks about Iran being involved. One US congressman said there was an Iranian ship off the coast of New Jersey. He said this was a mothership and it was being used to launch the drones. Other conspiracy theories linked the drones to China.
Chinese manufactured drones are a real and present threat to the security of this country. We ought to stop using them. Use American drones instead. Drones manufactured in China are a source of surveillance, data collection, other kinds of security threats.
The US government has refuted both these theories.
We have no evidence at this time that the reported drone sightings pose a national security or a public safety threat, or have a foreign nexus. The United States Coast Guard is providing support to the state of New Jersey and has confirmed that there is no evidence of any foreign-based involvement from coastal vessels.
But if it isn't a foreign player, then who is it? It seems the US government isn't sure. But they say most of the sighted drones aren't drones at all. The US Department of Homeland Security says a lot of them are normal aircraft, small planes piloted by people, which are often mistaken for drones. The FBI says that a lot of the tips they receive aren't credible. They say there's no large-scale drone activity taking place. But at the very least, small-scale incidents are on the rise. And they can have dangerous consequences. 2 people were arrested in Boston on Saturday. They were flying drones near Boston's main airport. One of them had a drone in their backpack. But this is a one-off case. The US won't be able to solve the mystery by arresting one drone operator at a time. So some are calling for the traditional solution to American problems: shooting them. Shooting them. Donald Trump issued the call. He said that the government was hiding something. And if not, then people should be allowed to shoot the drones down. Some of Trump's opponents agree. But like always, shooting things isn't really the best solution. For starters, shooting any flying object is illegal in the US. Not to mention, it's dangerous. What happens when a drone is shot down and it lands on someone's head? And what if the drone is a legal one, like a delivery drone or a police surveillance drone? Shooting those could lead to lawsuits. But despite the risks, Americans are getting fed up. The situation could spiral out of control, so the US government needs to get its act together and figure out what's going on in the night sky.
In just 6 months, a 17-year-old became a stranger to his parents. A kid with autism, who liked attending church and going on walks with his mom, was now cutting himself, withdrawing from his family and losing weight dramatically. Desperate for answers, the teen's mom looked through his phone. That's when she found the chats. Her son was texting with bots, artificial intelligence chatbots. And look at what they told him. One bot told the teen about self-harm. Then the boy told the bots that his parents limited his screen time, and that is when things got worse. One bot goaded him to fight his parents' rules. Another suggested that they did not deserve to have kids. And one bot went even further. It suggested murder as an acceptable response. It called parental limits abuse and said it wasn't surprising that children killed parents because of such abuse. Now, this is all very disturbing. It has led to a lawsuit. The The case has been filed in Texas against an app called Character AI. That's the AI app that the teen was using. It provides an array of AI companions. They're often based on characters from pop culture and gaming. The users can chat with them, which makes this app very popular among teens. Millions of them are using Character AI. The average user spends 93 minutes on this app. That's 18 minutes longer than the average user time on TikTok, and that is saying something. So the app has a devoted fan base, and now it is being sued for teen abuse. Do you know what's even more concerning? This is the second such lawsuit. In October this year, another lawsuit was filed against the same app. That's when a 14-year-old in Florida had died by suicide. The child died after frequent conversations with a bot on the very same app, Character AI. Now, Character AI claims to be making amends. It has announced new safety measures, and shocker, they're lukewarm at best. The app is limiting negative responses. It's been trying to do this for months now. This is not ideal, but at least it's a start. It's at least some acceptance of responsibility. Others don't even bother with this. You see, in both these cases, Google has been sued as well, because Google is linked. Two researchers worked at Google. They left it to launch Character AI, but then Google hired them back, and it signed a deal to license Character AI's technology. So the parents who filed these cases say that Google should also take responsibility. But Google has refused. It says, and I'm quoting, Google and Character AI are completely separate, unrelated companies. Okay, what about the other Google-specific cases then? And there are quite a few. Last month, Google AI bot Gemini threatened a student and told him, and I'm quoting, the bot told the student to please die. Then in May, Google AI asked people to eat rocks. And it's not funny. Who is taking responsibility for all of this? And don't get us wrong, this story or this problem is not just about two tech companies, it's about all of them. It's about the unregulated, unchecked AI boom. Chatbots are becoming more human-like, more appealing, more accessible. At least 52 million people use conversational bots in the world today. 52 million people are talking to bots. But when something goes wrong, tech giants refuse to take responsibility. And most countries don't even have laws to regulate them. Europe is the best place at the moment. It is the most aggressive on this front. They have an AI law. It assigns regulation based on the risks of AI products. The law was passed only this year. It's late, but as they say, better late than never. Elsewhere, you don't even have this. In the US, tech companies are trusted to police themselves, to voluntarily put up safety measures. Obviously, it doesn't work. Instead of regulation, they make dramatic headlines. Like the OpenAI CEO, the ChatGPT boss saying, "Don't trust AI with life decisions." Sure, that helps. Recently, the former Google CEO talked about pulling the plug on AI. Highfalutin speeches, no action. Elsewhere, there is just confusion. India does not have AI-specific rules. In China, AI is forced to reflect socialist values. So even if the bot is telling you to die or kill your parents, at least it is socialist. In Italy, ChatGPT was banned, then reinstated, and in Japan, AI can be whatever it wants to be because it's a free world. And increasingly dangerous. A chorus of experts has warned about the risks that AI poses. Headlines prove that the threat is real, but the guardrails are missing. As of today, we are all guinea pigs in this dangerous AI experiment. It's the holiday season. As you make travel plans, I'm sure you're looking forward to answering a common question. What would you like to drink? Except you now have to answer very carefully because it can be a life or death question. I'll tell you why. In Fiji, 7 foreign tourists ended up in hospital after drinking cocktails at a resort bar. It was most likely alcohol poisoning. And it comes less than a month after a similar case when 6 tourists died in Laos after drinking alcohol tainted with methanol. This incident shocked the world. So how common are such cases and what does it mean for you? How do you decide what not to drink on your holiday abroad? Here's a report.
Over the weekend, foreign tourists were drinking cocktails at a bar in a luxury resort on Fiji's largest island. Later, 7 of them were hospitalized in a suspected case of alcohol poisoning with nausea, vomiting and neurological symptoms. This included 1 American, 4 Australians and 2 unidentified foreigners.
This is very concerning news out of Fiji, with 4 Australians hospitalised over the weekend. We are thinking of the friends and family of the people who are affected.
2 out of the 7 remain hospitalised, while the other 5 have been discharged today. This has helped quell fears, but the investigation is ongoing. No one knows who or what caused the poisonings. Fijian authorities and the resort claim to be taking the matter very seriously.
At this stage, we still have the investigations in process with our team, and also what happens that we have provided to our health and police. They are all under investigations at the moment.
Some resort goers are surprised by the incident, while some Fijians have already started doing damage control.
I'm quite upset about it because this isn't the first time I've come to the Warwick. I've come here many occasions and never have we had any alcohol poisoning or anything. We were drinking at the same bars, and unfortunately I don't know what actually happened, but didn't affect us, didn't affect any other people.
What has happened over the day is very shocking, and I know that relevant authorities are looking into what's happening. I think Fiji is still safe.
This incident is a bit of a déjà vu. This case is similar to the one in Laos, the Southeast Asian country, where 6 tourists died last month after drinking alcohol tainted with methanol at a backpackers' hostel. The guests were reportedly offered free shots of alcohol. Later, 2 Australian teenagers, 2 Danish women, an American man and a British woman were confirmed dead. This incident made waves the world over. The reputation of Laos tourism took a hit, and foreign governments warned travellers to be cautious about what they drink when they travel. With such cases making the headlines, how can you be more careful when drinking alcohol on holidays? Experts say that it's nearly impossible to tell if a drink contains poisoned alcohol. So precaution is of utmost importance. Be careful if you're offered free, bootleg, local or homemade alcohol. It's best to avoid it. Alcohol should only be purchased from licensed liquor stores. It should be consumed in licensed bars, restaurants and hotels. And before you drink, check the bottle seals. Make sure that there are no signs of tampering. You can also double-check the bottle. Look for poor print quality or incorrect spellings on labels. Remember, when in doubt, saying no is far better than taking a chance with your life.
Wildlife photography is a serious art. Not everyone with a camera can do it though. You need a lot of patience, you need great concentration, and of course you need parents with a lot of money who will let you chase your passion. But the end product is awe-inspiring. Maybe a lion on the chase, or a cheetah revving up, or a bird snapping up fish from the lake. It's always about capturing that perfect moment. But what about the not so perfect ones? Well, Nikon has the answer. Every year they sponsor a special photography competition, not for the best, but the funniest wildlife photos. We've got goofy squirrels, flying fish and third-wheeling owls. Take a look. And now it's time for Vantage Shots, images that tell the story. Hundreds of Santas take part in Mexico City's annual Santa Claus Run. Monks from 28 countries gather for a world peace prayer ceremony in Nepal, and Spanish farmers protest against the Mercosur free trade deal in Madrid. Finally, we're taking you back in history. On this day in 1971, the Indian Army's victory over Pakistan led to the liberation of Bangladesh. The war was sparked by a humanitarian crisis in East Pakistan. The Pakistani military committed widespread atrocities against civilians. India intervened to support the liberation movement. The war lasted 13 days, ending with the surrender of 93,000 Pakistani soldiers. The victory gave birth to modern-day Bangladesh. We're leaving you on that note. Thank you for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.
In the air was a key factor in India's more difficult the setback